Welcome back to Sidelined. Hope everyone's having a great MLK Day, celebrating with the family. And before you watch your I Have a Dream speech tonight, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let's get into my 3 takeaways from NFL Wildcard Weekend, the first week of the NFL playoffs. It's a very exciting time, and it was a lot of great games. My first takeaway, the Chargers should call Sean Payton immediately. They should have got him on the phone right after the game, because what happened Saturday night was inexcusable. That can't happen. You have a 27-point lead in a playoff game, and you lose that game. That's inexcusable. And if it was it's bad enough if that was just a one-off to get a coach fired. That's something that just cannot happen. Last year, he did a very similar thing. Last year, they were playing the Raiders, and they could have made the playoffs, but instead, they didn't kick the field. They kept going, and he fucked it up. They didn't make the playoffs because of the coach's decision. They have a very talented roster. They're loaded on offense. They're loaded on defense. And frankly, the team is good, but they should be a lot better than they are. They underachieved. They blew a 27-point lead. The defense fucking blows, and they have a ton of names. And when you have a ton of talent and you underachieve, it's coaching. That can't happen. A lot of bad decisions down the stretch. You lose to Jacksonville. They were hot. But this guy, he's just in over his head. He's too cocky. I don't like his philosophy. And I think a lot of people are calling for his head, as they should be. If they can get Sean Payton to mentor Justin Herbert, they should do it immediately. Fire Brandon Staley. Takeaway number 2. Buffalo should be worried. Buffalo's another team stacked. They have a ton of talent on offense, a lot of good players on defense. They should have blew Miami out of the fucking water, to be honest. They're at home, rested up. They got the third string. Miami is their third string quarterback. That guy named Skyler. Girl's name, fucking Walter White. Skyler Thompson playing quarterback. And it was frankly a game. Josh Allen, he's a great talent. Unbelievable. With the flick of his wrist, he can send it fucking 50-plus yards. But sometimes that gets him in trouble because he's a little careless with the football. He had a lot of turnovers, fumbled, interceptions, and they just played careless. They just played like they were going to win, just walk in there and curb stomp Miami. Miami game a game. If they had a competent quarterback, frankly, if Tua played, I think the Bills would have lost, and I think they should be worried because they have a history of doing this. And if they pull this bullshit against Cincinnati or even Kansas City, they'll be going home. So they should be worried. They need to clean it up. Takeaway number 3, the Vikings are one of the all-time great choking organizations led by one of the all-time fucking spineless quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins. It's just so perfect. Kirk Cousins has a really good year, statistical year, great record, win a division, and he even had a pretty solid game. But when push comes to shove, he's going to shit his pants every fucking time. And that's exactly what happened. 4th down for the game. They needed it. 4th and 8, 4th and 9, whatever it was. And what does Kirk Cousins do? He throws it 3 yards, way short of the sticks, to T.J. Hawkinson, with the defender right on him. The play, it had no chance of working. It's just fucking stupid. I mean, my fucking grandfather, knows, throw it first down. What are you doing? You have no chance. He's just stupid. The Vikings are stupid. They need a new quarterback. Kirk Cousins is good, but he's never going to get you over the hump. The Vikings are 0-3 in their last 3 home wildcard games. He's just not the guy. He's good, but when it matters, he can't get it done. Another team, so much talent, underachieved. And the Vikings have always done it. Going back to the 90s, the 70s, they always choke. And until they get a competent quarterback, I think this will continue. They need to make some calls this offseason. Maybe for Lamar Jackson, who knows? With that said, we're bringing in, he was away at Canada. He got in some trouble with the law, but he's back safe and sound. Thank God. A lot of people worried. Got a lot of comments, a lot of phone calls last week. Sam, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's good to be back.
Sam, everyone's really worried. We didn't know where you were. What was going on? Well, Sam, is he dead? What happened?
Well, if you need to know the full story, you can go check it out on the last episode of the Movie Mob podcast.
That's a good plug, Sam. That's nice. All right. Let's get into the first game, Sam. We had a 1 o'clock game yesterday, Buffalo versus Miami. Buffalo, they were able to, gut it out 34-31. The Bills squeaked by. What really killed Miami in this one was their clock management. It seemed like Skylar Thompson was in over his head. Sam, are you concerned about the Bills after this game?
Yes, absolutely. They got off to a great start. They rattled off 17 straight points to open up the game, but then gave up 17 unanswered points at the end of the first half. So, I mean, this Buffalo team, they look great. They've been great all year, but as you can tell, inconsistencies down the stretch, like Allen making some really bad throws, including a couple of interceptions that led to points for Miami. I believe it was a couple of field goals. And, if they aren't able to, lessen the mistakes like that, especially come crunch time scenarios, like late in the game, if they need points, like at least 3 to tie up the game, head to overtime, and Allen throws a crucial pick, I mean, what are you going to do?
I mean, Sam, they had so many turnovers at home. They're playing a Dolphins team that had no business being there. I think if the Dolphins had a competent quarterback, if healthy too, they would have won this game. And that's my concern about Buffalo. They play too careless, too reckless, because they know they're good. And sometimes they think they just sling it out there, fucking put their dick out there, and they're just going to win, And it doesn't always work. In playoffs, that's going to bite you in the ass. They need to clean. Versus Cincinnati or Kansas City, they would have lost.
I think one of the biggest concerns from this game as well is the Bills' offensive line. They're pretty banged up. They got a couple of key starters that are out that got injured during the regular season. And as you can tell, this pass rush from the Dolphins, including Bradley Chubb, were able to get to him and actually force that fumble that led to the touchdown to give Miami the lead in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, they could clean it up because when they're going, they're as good as anyone. But games like this make me worried, and, it should be something to watch going forward.
Definitely.
All right. Next game, we have the Bengals. They beat the Ravens last night, 24-17 in Cincinnati. The big difference in this game, it was a 17-17 game. The Ravens had it at the 2-yard line, ready to score. Tyler Huntley, he tried to dive in, put it over the edge. Hubbard knocked it out, took it back 98 yards. It was a record for a touchdown. That was ultimately the difference in the game, 14-point swing. Sam, do you think the Cincinnati got lucky here, and what do you think about them for the rest of the playoffs?
I think it was all right place, right time in this one. I mean, this Cincinnati defense, they stood their own on the goal line against Huntley in this offense. It was a key, deflection at the line when Huntley was trying to reach for the goal line. I believe it was Wilson is the defensive tackle's name. He reached over, smacked the ball out of Huntley's hand. Hubbard picked it up, took it back the distance, and that was the game-winning play, obviously, in this one. But I think, Baltimore did hold their own. A lot of people said Cincinnati was going to come in here, blow the water out with them, but Baltimore did hold their own. I think the key difference was not having Lamar at the helm in this one.
Absolutely, Sam. I mean, here's the thing about Cincinnati. They've been rolling all season, but for some reason, Baltimore, they win, but they're always close, tough games. And I agree. I think if Lamar Jackson was in there, because Tyler Huntley, if they'd had a competent quarterback in there, I think Cincinnati would have lost. And ultimately, if Hubbard didn't smack it out, they would have lost. I think they might have lost. I mean, do you know the song "Smack That" by Eminem?
Of course.
And Akon.
Smack That.
Sorry, I was listening to that today. But yeah, dude, they might have lost. And Sam, that's my next question for you. What do you think's going to happen with Lamar Jackson here?
I think they should just pay him. I mean, honestly, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He definitely deserves to be paid. I don't know if they necessarily want to do that because it's been this long since they've, talked to him about contract negotiations. So I could possibly see him going elsewhere. It's just a matter of where that would be. But I also could see that the Ravens finally man up and pay the man his money.
I mean, I think they should. I think they just pay him whatever he wants because they have a really good defense. And what are your alternatives? You know what I mean? I mean, yes, his shelf life will be shorter because he's a running quarterback, but I don't know what your alternatives are. Pay the man. If he does leave, I would love to see him in Miami. I'd love to see him with the Raiders. I'd love to see him in Minnesota. Give him some real weapons. You know what I mean? And see what he can do. He's not a precision passer, so I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'd like to see the chance. I'd like to give him a chance with some real legit wide receiver one weapons and see what he can do.
Yeah, no, it would be pretty special to see.
And I love Lamar. I don't like people ragging on him. I mean, I get it, but he's got to get that bag, because look what happened to RG3.
Well, Kyler Murray, too.
Yeah, you don't know one big injury, your career's over, so, get the bag while you can.
Exactly.
All right. Next game, this is the one, they fucking blew it. Chargers, Jaguars. Chargers were up 27-0. They blew their load way too early, very prematurely. They ended up losing the game 31-30. Sam, I'm a negative. Who's to blame? Give me names. I need to be able to point the finger. That's the bad guy. All right, who's the bad guy? Who are we blaming?
So I got a couple of names.
Right.
First and foremost is Brandon Staley.
Good.
I don't know how the fuck
idiot.
you can blow this big of a lead in this big situation here.
Not good.
especially when you're having your quarterback throw the ball over 40 fucking times when you're up double digits, man. You got to run the clock out. You got to manage the clock a lot better in this situation. The Jacksonville Jaguars had no business winning this football game, and it's because of fucking Staley, number one.
I blame Staley. I think he's to blame. I blame the defense. I think they're Swiss cheese, and even though they have a lot of names, I think they're overrated. I blame the kicker, Cameron Dicker, 40-yard field goal in fucking Jacksonville, perfect conditions. Make the fucking kick, fucking spineless kicker. I think the Chargers are another one of these organizations. I can never really take them seriously. They're always going to choke in the big spots, and that's why I think they need a big-time coach like a Sean Payton. Or even, if Belichick was coaching this team, they'd be fucking rolling, you know?
And then the next person on my list is the defense entirely.
Yeah.
Is because they literally turned into Swiss cheese, like you said earlier in the second half. Because in the first half, they were giving Lawrence a ton of pressure.
Asante Samuel Jr.
They had 4 picks in the first half alone, and they were bringing constant pressure against Lawrence in that O-line. But then the second half, it's like they disappeared. They gave up out of the 4 offensive drives that the Jags had in the second half. They scored on all 4 of them. It was 3 straight touchdowns and then the game-winning field goal.
I know.
Can you believe that?
No.
That's terrible.
That is terrible. All right, quick. You think Jacksonville has any chance against the Chiefs?
No shot.
Okay. All right, next game. Niners Seahawks. Sam, we watched a bit of this at the Reed residence. Me and my cousin Christian. We went in your hot tub. We watched it. It was a nice night.
The RCC. Nights at the RCC, right?
Hey now. All right. It was a really good game for the first half. Seattle was actually up 17-16. 49ers blew them out of the fucking water in the second half. Brock Purdy ended up looking really good. Niners got rolling. Sam, out of Niners, your favorite to win the Super Bowl. Does this do anything for you? Or?
Absolutely, man. As you can see, they may not come out hot to start, but they make the necessary adjustments needed in order to execute. And obviously, Kyle Shanahan and this coaching staff made those adjustments, and they let Seattle score 6 total points, which was pretty much a garbage touchdown in the second half.
I think I agree. So I think when they're rolling on offense and defense, they're the best team in the league, like in the second half. I was interested to see how Brock Purdy would do because, bright lights. He seemed unfazed. Now, I don't know if it would be different if he's on the road in a big game. You get something? What do you think?
Well, I was going to say, to start off the game, he didn't look that great.
I was going to say, you had some criticism when we showed up at your house.
A couple of the throws early on, I know it was raining a bit, so, the ball was a bit slippery, but he was working with wet balls in practice earlier in the week. They mentioned during the broadcast. But anyways, a couple of the throws sailed very high over his intended targets, and a couple of them were behind his targets as well, which could have led to possibly getting picked off. But, in this one, when your defense is that good, it didn't really matter for this offense.
I think they should be in the Super Bowl, and then, we'll see how it looks from there. I will be interested to see if they make the NFC Championship game and they have to go on the road and play the Eagles. I'd be interested to see how Purdy does on the road. Big spot, really good defense. But they, for me, they're my favorite to come out of the NFC.
They got too many weapons, Matt. You can't guard them all. If you double guard or double shadow like McCaffrey, then that leaves Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel over the middle of the field, and you really want to let one of those guys loose?
A whole lot of guns and automatics.
It's crazy.
All right, next game. We have the Vikings. Oh, what do you know? They fucking lost. 31-24 to Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes lit it up. He had a fucking great game, over 300 yards passing. Saquon had a nice game. Wouldn't you know it? Vikings choke again. Sam, I'm going to ask you, I'll go first with the Giants. Does this do anything for you? Do you bring back Daniel Jones, and can the Giants make any noise going forward?
So I would say Daniel Jones definitely established himself in this game. This
really
was his best outing of the year by far.
This was his best moment in the league so far.
Yeah, especially on the big stage, on the road going in. You're an underdog. A lot of people wrote him off all year saying, he can't throw the ball very well. He's more of a running quarterback. But he showed he could do both in this one. He passed for over 300 yards, threw a couple touchdowns. He almost ran one in, too, which I was pissed about, and nearly put up 80 yards on the ground as well. So, Daniel Jones is definitely the guy in New York, but there is some question marks heading into their next matchup against Philadelphia.
Sam, I agree. I think Jones, I think if you can upgrade, if something comes, a big time name becomes available, I think if you can upgrade, you upgrade. But if you have no I think you can feel pretty solid about bringing back Daniel Jones with a competent coach and Dayball. Maybe get some more weapons around him. As for next week, obviously they're going to play the Eagles. They're going to be underdogs. I like the Eagles in that game. I give them a little bit of a chance because I think if they're rusty, the Eagles, they haven't, they looked a little rusty when they played them last time. Hurts. If Hurts comes back, he's still banged up, not the same guy. I give the Giants an outside shot to win that game.
Yeah, I think it goes back to this, beating a divisional opponent 3 times
Hard.
in 1 year is very hard to do. I think the Giants, Brian Daboll and company, are going to do their homework. They're going to study their plays from the ins and outs and have a good strategy going into this one, just like they had going into this matchup with Minnesota, and they definitely exploited this Minnesota defense. So I feel Daboll and company are going to bring the heat and are going to make some noise.
Good movie.
But I don't know if they can win. Okay. That's the only issue.
All right. Just quick, Vikings, you got to move on from Kirk, or what do you think?
He played well this year. He had a great year so far, and even in this game, he did play very well.
Until they needed it most.
Until that last throw there. Which,
not cutting time.
I mean, you got to at least throw it towards the sideline, give your guy a chance if you are going to throw that check down, but it all means you got to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. He didn't see a target after like the 1 minute mark in the third quarter.
Best receiver in the league. He
didn't look his way once.
He checks it down. I think his numbers are overinflated because he checks it down a lot. So his completion percentage is always high, but you got to rip it every once in a while,
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe O'Connell, he might need to go. I mean,
we'll have to see. They should look into other options.
I mean, he's haltering this offense. I mean, you got to at least throw it to the sticks in that moment.
Yeah, not a good day for Kirk or the Vikings.
Yeah.
All right, and with that said, we will turn it to everyone's favorite segment, the best time of the week. Best bets with Sam Reed.
Welcome back, guys. After taking a break last week because I was stuck up in Canada, we're back. So, as far as you guys know, my updated record is 10-8-2. This is because I have gone 6-1-1 in my last 8 plays I have given out, including hitting both my last resort parlays. So it gives you a nice bonus. You definitely walked away with quite a bit of profit over those last couple weeks. But before I get into this, I just want to say a quick disclaimer that I am in no means a professional handicapper, so please bet responsibly and only bet amounts that you can afford to lose. Now, without further ado, let's get into it with our special edition of Best Bets this week, which is going to feature the Monday Night Football game between the Cowboys and Bucs. We're going to do something different here. I'm going to throw in some player props and also which team and which spread I like for tonight. So my first best bet of the Monday Night Football matchup is Zeke Elliott to score a touchdown at any point during the game. The odds for this are plus 125 according to DraftKings Sportsbook. And the reason why I like this play is because I feel that Dak and company are going to come out swinging. They're going to deliver. They're going to move the ball very quick, very efficiently down the field. When they get towards that red zone, their go-to guy is Zeke. He scored in both appearances that they've been down inside the 5-yard line the past couple games. He scored 2 one-yard rushing touchdowns. So if they get into a similar situation tonight, which I can see happening, I think Zeke's going to punch one in. So this should be a no-brainer bet. Take Zeke to score a touchdown tonight. Now, my second best bet of the Monday Night Football game is the Cowboys themselves to win the game outright by 2.5 points at minus 115 odds. Now, the reason why I like this play is because for a lot of you that follow these plays is you got to look at the ticket percentage and where the money is. And after doing some research, here's what I found for you guys. 65% of the bets have been placed on this game on the Bucs money line, and 50% of the bets have been placed on Tampa Bay to cover 2.5 points. So basically, what you can infer from this is that the public is big on the Bucs winning tonight. And I am against that because on paper, the Cowboys are the better team. I think a lot of people are writing Dak off based on his prior history in the playoffs. He's 0-4 at the spread in the playoffs, and he hasn't looked great in these big moments. But I feel that this Cowboys team simply outmatches this Bucs team. They're going to bring constant pressure on the edge with Micah Parsons. They're going to make Brady go down a couple times, maybe even take a big hit, possibly take him out of the game. And I just feel that Dak Prescott and this offense are going to put up a lot of points, and Tampa Bay just won't have an answer for it. So that is why you should take the Cowboys by 2.5 points tonight. And now my third and final best bet of the Monday Night Football slate is Dak Prescott over 1.5 passing touchdowns at minus 110 odds. Now, the reason why I like this play is because Dak Prescott, he has done very well this year at throwing touchdowns. Out of the 12 games he's played in this year, in 8 of them, he has thrown 2 or more touchdowns this year. So this is why I really like this bet. It's hitting at a consistent rate, like win rate. And I can see tonight when they get down in the red zone, a couple of play action plays where Dak kind of scrambles out to his right, finds the big tight end target, Dalton Schultz, who I'll mention later in my last resort parlay. But I can see him looking for those big targets, or even throwing a Hail Mary to CeeDee Lamb or T.Y. Hilton down the sideline. They score a long touchdown. I mean, the options are inevitable here. So just, don't overthink this one. Take Dak Prescott over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's a no-brainer, especially because Tom Brady's line for over 1.5 touchdowns is minus 150, and he's only done it in 6 out of the 17 games he's done it. So now, without further ado, let's get into our last resort parlay for Monday Night Football. So we got a bit of a juicy one here. It's plus 1,100 odds. So what I have in this last resort parlay is Dalton Schultz, the tight end for the Cowboys, to score a touchdown at any point. I have Leonard Fournette, the primary running back for Tampa Bay, to score a touchdown. I have the Cowboys team total over 23 points tonight. And I have CeeDee Lamb to get over 69 reception yards. Now I'll get into my reasonings behind these plays. So CeeDee Lamb has averaged over 9 targets per game, and in these games that he's averaged over 9 targets, he has reached just under 80 yards in each of these games. So what that tells you is that this line seems a little bit low for me, and I feel that CeeDee Lamb's going to exploit this secondary, and he's definitely going to cover this with ease. So CeeDee Lamb, no-brainer, over 69 yards. My next play is Dalton Schultz. He is the safety blanket for Dak. He's always looking for him in the red zone. I expect when they get down in that area that he's going to definitely look for him. He goes to him constantly. He scored a couple of touchdowns over the past couple of weeks. So when Dak is feeling himself, look for Dalton Schultz to be down in the red zone, wide open, catching a touchdown. I also like Leonard Fournette to score a touchdown in this matchup as well, because he is the goal line back. They feed him when they get down in the red zone. It's just a matter of fact that the Bucs don't really get into the red zone too often, and when they do get down in the red zone, Brady seems to do a PA boot and not really run it in after the first 2 attempts. Fournette tries to push it in. He can't push it in, so they ultimately have to try to throw to get 6 points on the board. But in this one, I feel that Leonard Fournette's going to run very hard. He's going to put up a 100-yard game, so I feel like within this 100-yard game, he's going to punch one in on the goal line and score a touchdown for the Buccaneers. And last but not least, I like the Cowboys to get over 23 points tonight as well, because I think Dak and company are going to put up at least 17 points in the first half, which means that the Cowboys only have to score a touchdown in the second half at any point for this play to cover. So it should be a no-brainer. That is why I like this, and that is the last resort parlay at plus 1,100 odds. Now, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in to this segment of Best Bets. It's been a great run so far this year. Hopefully we can continue this run that we're on. And, without further ado, let's kick it over to Matt for the final word.
Thanks, Sam. That was really nice. All right, well, since, fantasy is no longer happening, we're not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to give you my quick predictions for next week of games. Just real quick what I think. Tune in next week. Kansas City, Jacksonville. I think Kansas City is going to blow fucking doors on Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville was frankly lucky to win last week. I think Kansas City is going to smoke them coming off a bye week. That's game number 1. Game number 2 is the big game. Cincinnati-Buffalo. I think these are two teams that could win the Super Bowl. Second round, really big matchup. I'm going to take Cincinnati, frankly, just because when they played a couple weeks ago, before the whole Hamlin thing, I think Cincinnati looked better. I think Cincinnati matches up a little better. And Buffalo is just a little too careless for me. I think Burrow's more consistent than Allen. I also think Burrow has really big balls. I like Cincinnati. I like them to get back to the Super Bowl this season. And for the NFC, I like the Eagles over the Giants. If Hurts looks a little shaky, the Giants have a shot. But I don't know. I think their defense is too good. Philadelphia, I think they could give the Giants some trouble. I like Philly in that game. And I like the Bucs to win tonight versus the Cowboys. Tom Brady has won 7 Super Bowls. He's gone to 10. Dak Prescott has 1 playoff win in 7 seasons. I like the Bucs. I'll never pick against Tom Brady. Never. I've seen it too many times. I don't care. Underdog, whatever. Brady. And for that reason, if they do play the Niners are going to be heavy favorites. I'm going to take the Bucs. Fuck it. That's my one big upset pick. Tom Brady in the playoffs. How you doing? Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Be back next week. That's it. All right.